guys, so let's talk about retargeting. Retargeting is the key to explosive profits on Facebook, bar none, end of discussion, period, right? Because retargeting is how you kind of leverage already warm customers who've already been engaged, already been exposed to you, and you already kind of have that trust. And really the point of retargeting is, to send them that reminder, to show them that you're still there, to show them that you care, right? And to really be specific and kind of follow up in a way that is going to actually get them to convert, right? So there's a million ways to retarget people on Facebook, but really we're going to break it down into kind of the top three ways to retarget that have kind of just been proven again and again and again to be most successful for me, right? And this is through millions of dollars of ad spend. You guys are kind of just jumping ahead of all of that and kind of getting the culmination and results of millions of dollars of ad spend that has been iterated and iterated again and again and kind of made more and more efficient each time, right? So many people will come and go to your website, right? And a lot of them might even be interested in making a purchase, but a lot of times people leave empty-handed, right? I think a lot of us that have had an e-commerce store have had people come to our cart, right, but haven't actually made a purchase. And so the best kind of ways to retarget people, the most efficient way, right, if you have like a Shopify store or something that integrates directly with DPAs, the easiest way is using the dynamic product ads like we talked about before, right? Actually just integrating via a product feed and then setting up dynamic product ads to automatically serve to anyone who's viewed a specific product in the last 14 days but hasn't actually purchased it, right? And then Facebook will go and automatically show the item that the person viewed directly to them on Facebook in like a nice little kind of carousel ad with a shop now button, and making it very, very seamless and frictionless to actually purchase. But if you don't have the ability to use DPAs, you can still do abandoned carts. And the way that you can do this, right, is there's a couple of ways. And we've talked about both, but I just want to really kind of hammer it home. So this is one of my demo stores that I do that I use just to kind of show how to do things. And so this is kind of the cart page on Shopify, right? If we actually press add to cart, we'll see that it's actually /cart. And so what we can do is if we have multiple cart pages, right? Like if we have multiple products, we see that there's a different checkout page here. We see that there's also a link to the specific product itself, right? So there's a couple of different ways. Shopify and Facebook have an integration and kind of a communication and synergy where all you have to do, like I explained before, is just paste in your pixel ID directly into Shopify, and Shopify has custom coded all of their different events. Like if somebody adds a product to a cart, that automatically fires the cart event to Facebook. So they're trying to make it easy for us, and so in doing that, right, we can actually just create custom audiences quite easily, right? So we can go to a website traffic here. We can choose one of the right pixels, and then we can actually just target people from events, right? So we can target people who've added their payment info, right? Like they're in the cart step. So if they get to right here, this is the add payment event firing, right? And so what we'll do is we'll target anybody who's added their payment info, right, in the last 7 days, 180 days. You can do any combination of 1 to 180, and then we're going to exclude people who actually have purchased, right? And the reason that we're doing that is because we're going to target the people who were close to purchasing but haven't quite purchased, right? And if you have multiple or if you have multiple products, then you want to be careful, right? Because somebody could add a product to their cart and then didn't purchase, and then you're showing them an ad for a different product where somebody added to cart and didn't purchase. So if you want to be super specific, you can just go people who visited specific web pages, and then we can just come in here, grab the actual product link, right? So then now we're going to target people who visited this product link, right, but haven't purchased. So now we're only going to show it to people who have specifically visited this product, right? They're looking at this product, and then when we create this custom audience, if we're actually going to set up a retargeting ad, we'd obviously use pictures of this specific product, because the only people who would be shown our ad are people who fit into this custom audience, which means that they must have visited this specific web page, right, but they didn't actually purchase. So you have to be careful when you have multiple products about actually just using events, right? Because if we just did add to payment info here and we have 5 different products, right, we can't show them an ad for our putter, for example, and then all of a sudden the actual event that they fired was they added their payment info for my golf polo, right? And so, you have to be careful because these will just pick up and put people into a custom audience of anyone who's viewed a specific, who's added their payment info on any of your products but hasn't purchased. So if you want to do it specifically, do it just by web pages, and it works pretty well. But again, if you want to do it the most efficient way and you do have a Shopify store, I definitely suggest checking out the dynamic product ads tutorial that we went through, because it's one of the best ways to kind of do it. All you have to do is set up a feed, an RSS feed from the Shopify app that based on that catalog, right? And you can do it from a specific collection. You can do it from all of your products. And there's a lot of really cool kind of custom combinations that you can make also. For example, like you can do, okay, so if somebody viewed one product, show them an ad for another. And so the reason that would be cool is if somebody bought, for example, like a camera, and this is the example I keep using. If someone bought a camera from your site, you could say, okay, everyone who buys a camera from my site, show them an ad for the camera case that matches that camera. And so it's a cool way to kind of cross-sell and upsell using dynamic product ads. Right, so another cool way is incentive/value-based retargeting. And so, what we do is instead of targeting people who visited specific web pages, we actually just do visitors by time spent. And you can do this on whatever page you want, right? Like, for example, if you have a webinar, you can retarget people who watched 25% or more of your webinar, or who watched a specific amount of your webinar. People who are in the top 25 percentile of people who watch your webinar probably watched a lot, because most people who are committed enough to sign up and things like that are probably going to watch at least some. So this is a good way, and you can select specific web pages here. But visitors by time spent really is just like a very good way to kind of judge interest, because there's no better kind of determinant of interest than time spent. Because if somebody's reading what you have to say, or they're scrolling through your entire website and they're really spending more time than anyone else, it's a very, very good way to know that they're very interested in purchasing, which means that retargeting campaigns in this particular segment are extremely profitable, right? So Facebook activity and engagement. So we talked about this briefly, but let's go through some that are kind of a little bit more advanced, right? So whenever I create a video ad or like a boost a post for my Facebook page, I always create a custom audience of people who viewed 25%, right? And 50%. So let's actually talk about how to do that, right? So if we go to engagement here in video, we can choose people who viewed 25%. Right, and then we can actually pick the video itself right here. We can pick one from this page. We can do this one again, right? And so we can pick this video, and in the past 365 days, we're going to target people who've watched 25%, and we're going to say 25% video view. And the reason that we're doing this when there's multiple guys is, what I like to do is I like to create split tests, right? Always a split test. And I know I'm like beating a dead horse like to literal death by saying that, but if you guys actually get it in your head, then it'll be worth it, right? Because that's the most important part. And then I would do 50%, right? And I would choose the same video, and I would choose the same amount of days, and I would call it 50% video view. And this is like the 100K product Amazon. Right? And I'm not going to do it for all the other ones, but I would do 25%, 50%, 75%, 95%, and then I would run all of them on a split test of the same targeting to see which one was which. And you'd assume that 95% would be the highest conversion, but that's not always the case, guys. And sometimes, unfortunately, we don't have an infinite number of people watching our videos and things like that. And so sometimes choosing 95%, for example, you won't have enough people. And so 25% can work, 50% can work. Even somebody who's watching 25% of your video, that they're very, very interested in what you kind of have to say. Another cool one is the lead form. So if we go back to engagement and lead form here, we can choose kind of to retarget people who did a variety of things related to our form. So lead forms, just as a refresher, are a really cool way to kind of collect email addresses, names, even phone numbers directly in the Facebook app, right? It's very, very seamless and frictionless. They don't have to go to a different website. They feel very comfortable already within the Facebook app. And it's just a great way to kind of collect email leads, names, and phone leads without even leaving the platform in a very, very kind of seamless way. And so we can actually create custom audiences, which is a great benefit that a lot of people don't know about. A lot of people use the lead form and the offer ads just to collect emails, to collect phone numbers, to follow up with these people. But what they don't realize is that a lot of people are kind of slipping through the cracks when they're doing that, right? So let's say you run a lead campaign for 1,000 giveaways of your cheat sheet or whatever, right? And so let's say 1,000 people give you their emails. How many of those people are actually going to buy from you, right? Probably not that many. Even if you're converting at a 10% rate, which would be, absolutely enormous, that would only be 100, right? So most of the time it's around a 1 to 3%. So, 10 to 30 people out of 1,000. But why, if you're going to spend a bunch of money collecting those leads, obviously you're going to make money downstream with email marketing and once you kind of have people in your ecosystem, but why not make money 2 more times, right? So email them downstream, convert some of the people, and then all of the people who actually interacted with your form, right? Who opened it or who opened it but didn't submit, or who opened and submitted, right? I usually just do people who opened this form. So every single person who expressed any interest in your form, you can create a custom audience and then retarget to all of them, right? They're already warm. You already have their emails for the most part, unless they closed the screen and didn't give you their email. But this is a fantastic way to just say like, opened lead form for Amazon cheat sheet, right? So like this is one I've made before. And we obviously choose the form that we created. And so that's just a fantastic way to really capitalize on the expenditure while building an email list, while building kind of a custom audience list for retargeting. And then again, Facebook, right? So actually for a Facebook page. So if we go back to engagement here, we can do a Facebook page. And so we talked about this briefly, guys, but depending on how much traffic you have to your Facebook page, once you kind of get to the level of traffic that I'm at, you can really do any of these, right? Like we sent and received 692,000 messages. And a lot of those were my messenger bot, obviously. There's no way that we could send that many messages kind of manually. But anyone who visits your page, even if you're just starting out, right? People are going to be visiting your page. They might be interested in your local business. They might be interested in your e-com business, right? They might be checking you out for legitimacy. And so if they are doing that, anyone who visits your page is a great way to target people, right? It's a great way to kind of form a custom audience. You can say, hey, like I noticed that you were viewing my page. And then if you say it like that, people are like, oh, wow, like how did he know? And it kind of like, again, it's a pattern interrupt. And when you interrupt people's patterns, they're much more likely to actually pay attention, even for a fleeting second, which is long enough for it to really make a big impact, right? And my kind of favorite ones are, people who sent a message to your page, and then again, anyone who engaged with any post or ad. This is a good one too, because people who engage with your ads, they like your ads, whatever. This is an interesting one because people who engage, it's like a micro commitment. When people make micro commitments, like giving their emails or liking a post, it's just kind of a mental thing where they're more likely to do some next action, whether that's going to your landing page or whatever. But this is one that we have to be kind of wary of, because if we're running a lot of engagement ads, for example, like in Thailand and the Philippines, kind of to build social proof, and then we create a custom audience of people who engage with any post or ad, then we're going to be wasting ad spend retargeting people kind of from those developing countries when they're probably not actually our target market that we're trying to make a purchase of. So be careful with this one. But again, sent a message to your page is literally kind of the best one that we've had by far. We've had a huge amount of profit and return on investment for these custom audiences, just because it really demonstrates somebody being the most kind of interested that they could be by sending you an actual message, right? So the Instagram business profile we talked about before. So Instagram is obviously a huge kind of platform that should not be ignored. And if you're doing things like for your e-commerce business and you're kind of repurposing viral content or posting images or content related to your products or services, and you're kind of starting to build your Instagram, a great way to actually monetize that, right, all of your effort, is by retargeting people who actually engage with your Instagram. Because how else do you know if someone visits your Instagram, right? If they don't like your stuff, if they don't follow you, and they don't send you a message, right? You have no idea. How else could you possibly know that they're just quietly coming and observing your content and then leaving, right? The only way that you can actually kind of reap the benefits of your efforts and your time related to your Instagram page is to create a custom audience of people who have, visited your business profile. If you don't have a lot of traffic, this one, right? Everyone who's engaged with your business is a great one, because it literally means anyone who visits your page, anyone who, engages with your content or ads on your business profile itself, or in their feed. Like if your photo comes up in their feed and they engage with it that way. So this is a fantastic way to kind of, get a little bit of profit and a little bit of reward from all of your efforts related to Instagram, just by targeting everyone who's kind of showed interest. So I normally, guys, I recommend against using the right column placement, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. We've talked about kind of how to target via placements, and I talked about the importance of kind of using the Facebook feeds on both mobile and desktop, as they are by far, no question, the most kind of profitable. But for retargeting and for ultra defined audiences and people who've showed a lot of interest, right? Like they've come to our page, they've interacted with our content, maybe they've liked or sent our page a message, right? Or they've viewed the cart for one of our products. People who've showed, an above average level of interest. If we come down to placements here, and edit placement. So normally we will uncheck where it says right column, right? These are the little ads that appear kind of on the right, and these like little small ones, and they're generally very, very not efficient. They're generally very inefficient, excuse me. But for retargeting, it's actually kind of a cheap little way, right? Like, so here's an example right here. Protect the stuff you love in 90 seconds. So we can actually, it's okay to use right column ads in retargeting. I even suggest when you're creating a retargeting campaign, like for example, let's say that you made a custom audience of people who sent your Facebook page a message. I might create a retargeting ad saying like, hey, like I know that you were looking at our Facebook, or you sent our Facebook page a message. We'd love to like reconnect. And I'd only use the right column. And I wouldn't only do that, guys, but I would make a split test where I disabled everything else and only chose the right column. And sometimes you'll get very, very cheap results from only using the right column when it's specifically ultra targeted audiences for retargeting. So that's just a fun little hack that I kind of use. And kind of one of our biggest secrets, guys, depending on what your product or service is, but one of our biggest like money makers and just an absolutely unbelievably profitable campaign that we run is called the video testimonial carousel. And what a video testimonial carousel, guys, is it's kind of the best way to jam pack a Facebook retargeting ad with social proof. And like we've talked about again and again and again, right? Some of the most important parts of being successful with online businesses is social proof. People want to read reviews of your course, or people want to read reviews about your product. Amazon's popularized that. They've proved that people need to see reviews. They don't want to spend their hard-earned money without hearing from other real people that this stuff is actually going to work. So the people who have more testimonials and the people who have more other people, like normal people, saying, Kevin's course changed my life. I was able to leave my job, right? Like all X, Y, and Z, that other people who are considering and on the edge of kind of joining need to hear to kind of feel comfortable kind of taking that risk. It helps a huge amount, guys. And so since we're doing retargeting, guys, we're going to make the assumption that we have a lot of data. If we had no data but we had a bunch of testimonials, I mean, by data, I mean pixel data. If we have pixel data, then we want to run this as conversion, right? Because conversion is going to show our ad to the most number of people who are likely to convert. And I'm not going to fill out all of this, but we are going to optimize for website purchases here. That's very important. And then in the ads section, we see that we can either choose single image, single video, slideshow, collection, but what we're trying to do is carousel, right? A video carousel ad. Create an ad with 2 or more scrollable images or videos. And this, guys, is one of our secret weapons. The video testimonial carousel is so incredibly powerful. It doesn't matter if you're selling a physical product, right? Digital product, high ticket, this works incredibly well as well. And so the video testimonial carousel, where you literally have people, and it doesn't have to be super studio quality, guys. Have somebody with a cell phone being like, wow, Kevin's course, it really was above and beyond. I've taken other courses. It was so fantastic. Like, it really helped me, the way the level of depth that he goes in and how he really shares his screen and really shows how to do these things, right? That is the difference, guys. video testimonial carousels really have a huge impact. And so I know that that was kind of a long-winded explanation of retargeting, guys, but retargeting is one of the biggest ways that we make money by utilizing the power of custom audiences, right? Custom audiences have two incredible uses. The first is creating retargeting campaigns, right, where we're literally targeting those exact people that are part of that custom audience, whether they viewed the URLs of ours, whether they engage with our Instagram or our Facebook, whether they engage with our lead form, whatever the case may be, right? We put them specifically, those exact people, in a custom audience, and we show retargeting ads to them, right? The second use of a custom audience is to take all the data that you possibly can of a specific event, right? Like people visiting a website or people making purchases on your website, and then using that as a seed or a source audience to create lookalike audiences to actually really expand your reach and scale your campaigns, right? So that is the key of retargeting, guys. Those are some ninja hacks that we've used to generate millions of dollars. So I hope you enjoyed that one, guys, and let's get to the next.